Welcome to Lifestyle Solopreneur, the community for entrepreneurs who put lifestyle first. Join your host, Flavia Barris, as she interviews successful lifestyle solopreneurs and shares ideas to help you find the perfect balance between lifestyle, business, and self. Flavia is an attorney, marketing expert, and founder of several online academies. She's been featured in major media, including BBC World News, The Wall Street Journal, The New York Post, ESPN Television, and more. Join us for this episode of Lifestyle Solopreneur.
Hey, solopreneurs. Today, we get to speak with Robert Foster. He finds fulfillment in helping others discover their calling in life and turning it into a thriving career. He also speaks regularly on the principles that have helped him build extraordinary resilience to weather the storms of life and come out victorious. He's grown into a highly sought-after inspirational speaker and life coach who regularly inspires crowds at schools, business conferences, forums, and company training classes. He's vibrant, fun, inspiring, and you're going to love this guy. He's a father, speaker, athlete, coach, and entrepreneur who looks to increase his reach through his virtual platforms, programs, and speaking events, allowing him to impact others' lives, including our lives here today on the podcast. Robert, welcome to the show.
Wow, you made me sound really good. Thank you.
Well, no, I mean, you are amazing. And I'm so happy to have you on the show. And I know you've inspired so many. And let's keep that going so that you can help inspire us in our sort of daily work. And we're all out here. We're grinding hard at work, but we're trying to grind less and live more. And I know that's one of your focuses is to really just, it's almost kind of a, philosophical take on life and how to live your life and how to have a good life. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got there.
All righty. So as you said, my name is Robert B. Foster, and I own a gym. So that's first and foremost. And then from there, I spiraled off into speaking, coaching, and writing. So how I got there was as a teenager, I had big dreams, and somehow I fell into the trap of being a restaurant manager. And I did that for 20 years. So out of high school, I knew I wanted to do something health and fitness related as I was an athlete for my entire life. I still compete in stuff now, track and field and basketball. And I was also the youngest of 7 kids, and we were all athletes. So that part was just in the blood. Like my parents were athletes as well. So as I'm managing restaurants, I was good at it. I made decent money. I got up to general manager and was managing some multi-units. But it just wasn't fulfilling anymore. Just the longer I did it, the more unhappy I was. I was missing everything. I had no work-life balance, nights, weekends, holidays, overtime, and it just wasn't good. And I'm a single parent of 5 kids. And so I was just missing so many events or arriving to events late because of the work or having to leave events early because of work. And I just didn't want to do it anymore. So one day, I converted my garage into a gym, and it was more so at first for myself, just a place for me to decompress because I was coming home angry and lashing out at my now ex and lashing out at my children. And it just wasn't who I am. Like I'm built for happy-go-lucky. Like I'm not built to be carrying around all that stress all the time. And so for giggles, I figured, you know what, let me place an ad on Craigslist, see if I can get a couple people to train with. And I got one. And I had that one for a few weeks, and then I got one more. And then next thing you know, I have 40 people training with me out of my garage. And then the universe cleared a path for me, and I actually got fired from my management job. First time in 21 years I've ever been straight up fired. But I saw that as an opportunity to never go back to doing that. Again, I just pursued fitness full time, and here we are today.
That's an amazing story. I love how you said for a few weeks, you just had the one client. And what's funny is I know a lot of entrepreneurs who, they have an idea, they start a business, and let's say they just get one customer and they see that as this huge disappointment. Like they thought they'd put out a Facebook ad and then within 3 days they'd be completely booked and be replacing their income they were trying to replace or whatever their goals were. And then it doesn't happen and they just kind of regroup, pivot, turn, say, well, I guess this isn't working. But you didn't. You got just the one client, but you sort of knew perhaps, or at least it worked out this way for you, but I'm hoping that you had that faith that one means someone wants to pay money for this thing you're offering, which of course means there's a possibility for many people who would like to pay a fee to have this coaching. And then of course for you, it did work out and pretty soon you had 40 clients. But if you'd quit after that first 2 weeks, you just kind of stopped marketing and stopped putting yourself out there from like quote unquote disappointment, you would have never gotten there. So what do you think about that kind of persistence? Was that a turning point for you when you got that first client as a positive thing and you got excited knowing you can get many more? Or were you disappointed and you had to talk yourself out of quitting?
No, it was definitely a positive thing, but I think that goes back to athletics because in athletics, you do a lot of failing before you get good. So I made it to an All-American in track and field, but in order to get to that level, I had to lose a whole lot of meets. And just when you're losing, you got to work harder, you got to grind harder, you got to prepare, you got to eat right. There's just so many different steps that you have to take. So having that kind of grind already ingrained within myself helped. So definitely when I got that first client, and as you said, he paid me. So I'm of the mindset, all right, if one paid me, there's 7 billion other people out there. I only need a handful to pay me. So as long as I just do what I can with this guy, get him really good results, use his testimonial, it'll help me get others. And then once I got the second one, I think I went from 2 to 14 in a span of like 5 days. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. But it definitely gives you a belief. And it's happening again now because, as I said, I started a coaching business as well. And I got my first coaching client. She starts with me on the 28th in a couple of weeks. And same thing. It's like, once I did that first call with her and presented my program, presented her the pricing, she bought in. I sent her the agreement. She signed it when she paid. So it's real now. Now I know that one person has paid for it. The next, God knows how many years we're going to be doing really, really well because it's a high ticket program.
And so what was your path from teaching, coaching, and being in the fitness world and an athlete to becoming an inspirational speaker? And also, I know you have a podcast. So talk to us a little bit about your bridge from the gym and fitness world into the inspirational speaking and the podcast world.
So if you go to my website, robertbfoster.com/speaker, the first thing you'll see is it says, uncover the power within you. So there really wasn't a bridge per se, because it was already within me. So from being an athlete, I was always captain of my sports team. So when you're captain, you're leading the stretches, you're giving the pump up speeches, but before we break off the play, whatever the sport is, you're constantly rallying the troops. And then you fast forward to restaurant management, giving sales meetings and service meetings and management meetings, area director meetings, kitchen manager meetings. And so I was constantly in front of people, giving inspiring speeches, sharing my knowledge and my expertise. Like I was already doing it. So when I was 17 years old, I grew up in a very rural area. So there was trees all in the backyard. And I had a stick in my hand. And I was using the stick as a microphone. And I was giving a motivational speech to the trees. So go ahead, judge me if you want to, but this is how it started, right? So I was giving a motivational speech.
I love it. I'm picturing those trees. If you go back there now, are those trees, do they have like the glossiest leaves and they're a little taller, a little more, branches than the other ones? I bet so. I bet
yeah.
I bet you can see.
Yep, absolutely. And when the wind was blowing, how the leaves make that noise, I use that as my applause. But my mother comes out onto the deck and she's like, boy, what are you doing? And I told her, I'm motivating the masses. So like I was 17 then. So I knew it then that was something that I wanted to do. And so out of school, I went to college on a partial track scholarship. And I ended up injuring myself and I got really depressed because I was trying to qualify for the Olympics. Like that's what my main goal was. I wasn't really thinking about that whole education thing. So when I hurt myself, I got depressed and I ended up leaving school. And so I tried to go back 2 more times, but I ended up leaving school both times. And then I just started managing restaurants. So the whole time I was doing it, I was learning everything that I needed to know to get me to where I am now. And so it's like I said, the bridge, it was already there. So it was just one day at the gym. I was like, you know what? I want to hold a women's empowerment event. And everyone's like, why women's empowerment? You're a dude. I said, yeah, but I've been working with women my entire life. So it's like, I've learned a lot. And I think I can bring, a unique perspective to the table. So I put out a Facebook event and like 45 women showed up for this event. And that was like my first time doing an organized speaking event. And I loved it. There were so many takeaways. Some of the women were crying, like they just had breakthroughs. I was like, that's an amazing feeling. Like, and I want to continue doing it. Like, it made me feel good and I was helping them have breakthroughs. So it was a win-win.
That's amazing. So you've really, I mean, from presenting to trees, everything you've done, it seems like you've always taken on a leadership role in whatever you were doing, whether it was track or the restaurant world. Leadership and inspiring others seems to really have been your calling. I mean, you're
Yes.
inspiring vegetation. So you truly you want to serve, you want to inspire and also hone your skills, right?
Yes.
I love that your mom's like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "I'm inspiring the masses." She's like, "You mean the moss? Like I just see trees out there. What are you talking about?" I love it. I think that is a really nice picture in my mind of thinking of you and sort of your journey that you've been on. So
Thank you.
talk to us a little bit because you sound relatively busy, right? I mean, you've got a lot of things going on. I know that I'm sure you've traveled a lot in the past for speaking and different events that you do. So my question to you would be, how do you stay balanced? How do you keep yourself from becoming someone who's a road warrior and just working way too many hours during the week, a lot of different things pulling you in different directions? And, here on this podcast, we really focus on trying to find ways to keep our sanity and to not let work take over every aspect of our lives and to really just not necessarily keep a separation between work and play, because a lot of times there can be a lot of overlap, right? But
Yes.
just to keep that balance that is right for you as a person. So what are ways you do it? Because every one of us has different ways to do it. And we really like on this podcast to share that with each other and to learn and inspire from each other.
Well, the first step is to unlearn everything that you've been taught. Because growing up in the school systems, you're indoctrinated that once you get your college degree, you got to work 40 to 60 hours a week to make it work until you're 70 and retire. And people we get it stuck in our head that that's the path. And as a restaurant manager, for the longest time, I thought that was the norm. I mean, there were some weeks I would work 60, 65, 70 hours a week. And I just thought that was the norm until when I lost my job in 2009, I had to collect unemployment for a while because we were in a recession then. So I actually did send out some other resumes just as a fallback, but no one was hiring at the rate that I wanted. So once I started collecting the unemployment was when I went and got my certifications for fitness and exercise science and personal training. But while I was home, I was like, this is awesome. It's nice being here when the kids actually wake up, because usually I would leave before they were awake and then I would get home, say 6, 7 p.m. I get them for like an hour and a half, and then they go to bed. So that was my normal. So actually being there when they woke up, being home when they came home from school, being there to have dinner with them, I was like, I can't believe I missed all of this time, missed all of these things. And, just being there to hear how their day from school went. Because usually I'd come home at 7:00. So, all right, you guys got to get in the shower. You got to read your books before bed. You got to do your chores. And it wasn't just like, hey guys, how was your day? So it seems like it's something so little, but it's major. It's absolutely major. So once I started really scaling my fitness business, I structured my schedule in a way to where I won't miss any of that stuff anymore. And that's what the driving force really is you just have to be the boss of it. So if you're in a situation where you don't control your schedule, it's going to be really, really tough for you to have that work-life balance because someone else is telling you when to show up and when you can go on vacation. I just made the decision for myself that I wasn't going to do that anymore. Nobody else is going to tell me how much I'm worth. No one else is going to tell me when I can and can't go on vacation or when I can and can't watch my kids' school chorus concert. So it's a decision that you have to make. And sometimes it's tough because you got to pay your bills, but you have to weigh the odds about being more present for your family or just working yourself into the ground in a job you most likely don't care for to make money.
Yeah, I think you're preaching to the choir on this one. We know. I mean, especially
Yep.
the family aspect, spending time with loved ones, that is something that gets sacrificed so much in our society to a degree that's just appalling, really. That
Yes.
kind of that first thing to go is the family time.
Yep.
And you see it too, because kids really crave that togetherness with their parents, especially when they're very young, right? They need that time because they're learning by example. And so
Yes.
kids observe parents. I mean, they see everything that you do. They listen when you don't think they're listening. Boy, I think every parent's learned
Yep.
that one the hard way, right? Like, where'd you hear that? Oh yeah, you heard that from me. I did not know
Yep.
you were listening. So it's important to be there for them. And I think that's the driving force for a lot of solopreneurs who are making the shift towards more life, more lifestyle, more freedom. A lot of it's driven by family. And it's not just kids, there's parents and siblings and close friends that are like family. And that's huge. What are some ways? I know there's technology, especially these days, there's an app for everything. There's technology that can help us. There's also practices that can really help. I mean, I've had guests on the podcast talk about everything from some really unique morning routines to some just great app suggestions, and sometimes just pen to paper kind of practical things that you can do to help maintain that boundary between work and family and make sure that you do have all that time for your kids. What are ways you can help?
So what I tell people, because like one of the number one excuses out there is I'm busy. Everyone says that I'm busy. I'm busy. Oh, you don't understand. I'm busy. And like, I'll put my schedule up against anyone else's as far as busyness goes. But you start off with time blocking. For people that don't know what time blocking is, from whatever time you wake up in the morning, you just map out your entire day we'll just take 7 a.m. So from 7 to 7:15, wake up, go to the bathroom, brush my teeth. 7:15 to 7:30, have breakfast, have my coffee, XYZ. And then if you got to get the kids on the school bus, if you go to work, and then you figure out where the gaps are. And then you schedule your personal time, your family time, your kid time, whatever, in those gaps. So that's one way to do it. Another way is to just completely black out days. Just completely, no matter what comes up, you black it out. Because that's what I do now. My best friend can call me and say, hey, I'm getting married on this day. I'm like, sorry, I got that day blocked out. Like I'm at the stage of life now where my time is my most valuable commodity. And if I have something blocked out for me or the family, nothing outside of a tragedy happening in my family, nothing is going to shake me from that time frame. And once you start safeguarding your time, people will not be so demanding of it anymore, meaning friends and coworkers and whatever else. Like people will know, like when I first started with the gym, like I would nap between say 1 and 2:30 almost every single day. And I'd wake up at 2:30, I'd check my phone, and I have a group text with my clients, and someone would say, hey, Rob, what's on the menu for tonight, for tonight's class? And then someone else would chime in, this is Rob's nap time. You're not going to hear from him until 2:30. It's like they know
I love it. They're like,
yes.
yeah, you're most like the clients or, people who know you are like, oh, no. You're not going to get a response. This is nap
Yes,
time. Like,
exactly.
even if he happens to have been awake today and seen it, he's not going to respond because this is not the time during which he will respond to us. Right.
Yes.
And I love it. They're so
us,
trained. They're like, they get it and they're respectful of it.
Yes. And so many of us is we allow people 24/7 access to us. Like the ringer on my phone is never on. Ever, unless I know I'm expecting an important call, I'll turn it on just to get that call, but it's never on. It's like I respond to people on my terms.
Well, that is fantastic. And when you were mentioning time blocking, you're like from 7 to 7:15, is when I wake up, brush my teeth, comb my hair, whatever, and it's a lot of people would listen to that and say, wow, that actually doesn't sound like freedom. It sounds very restrictive, but there can be freedom from discipline, right? And freedom
Yes.
when you draw these boxes on your calendar and sort of have time blocks, it can actually create freedom. And a lot of people don't know that. They don't sort of understand that you can create these time blocks in a way that if you stick to them, you get all your stuff done. And then the other time blocks that maybe just said family day, that time block gets the same level of respect as your work time blocks.
Yes.
And so family day becomes an actual family day, not the kind of day where your kid's like, oh, we're supposed to be, at the beach, but you've just been on your phone all day trying to find some shade under the umbrella so that you can actually see your phone. Like, come on, Dad, like, can you just come get in the water? And I think, it's difficult, right? Because we're asking people to be extremely boxed in and restrictive with some parts of their calendar, but the end goal is more freedom.
Yes. See, the beauty of that too, though, is like once you have it blocked out, then you can start stacking and say like, all right, so I do this between 7:15 and 7:30, but I might be able to take this 9 o'clock task and put that in at 7:30 also. And now you're freeing up more time. So like what I do now, and I tell this with whether it's my business clients or my fitness clients, is I say own the morning. Get absolutely as much done as you can get done before the sun comes up. So now that's easy for me because I'm up in the 4 o'clock hour every single day. So, but I tell people, especially parents, if you have kids, get as much done as you can before the first kid opens up their eyes. And then that actually will save you so much more on the back end. So instead of getting ready while they're having breakfast, then maybe you can have breakfast with them because you knocked out a good majority of your day, like I said, before the sun even comes up. So once that time block is done, you can look and see what you can compound and just manage the time better to get more done earlier. And then you'll open up more time throughout the day. Like as busy as I am, I pretty much have free like between 12 and 3 every single day. Every single day. And on the weekends, I'm free after 10 a.m. Like I get everything done by 10, then I check out and I just hang out.
That's fabulous. I mean, think about it. Like if you can get a good chunk of things done early in the morning, you've won the day. Like it doesn't matter
Yes.
what else happens that day. Like you can get a flat tire and your day turns into an unexpected, like, multi-visit to a tire place or whatever, right? Like
Yep.
you can be derailed for the rest of the day and go off your planned schedule, but it doesn't matter because you already got so much done that
Yes.
you still got 3 times more than just the average person does in their day, right? I
Absolutely.
love that. I think morning routines are key. I think it's hard because some people really aren't morning people. I'm lucky. I mean, I guess luck, right? I was born with a like circadian rhythm or whatever it's called, but I'm good in the morning. Like I can even make myself wake up early and I'm alert and I can get stuff done. I'm the opposite with the evening. Like I'd rather not be working at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Like I'm not a night owl.
Yeah,
I
me
feel
neither.
my brain function, my creativity, my motivation, like all of it is a little bit more sort of low late into the night, but I can get myself going. And I think everyone probably needs to look at their own rhythm and their own self and figure out what are your productive hours. A
Yep.
lot of people do great with a nap midday. I mean, have you ever been to Spain or I mean there's other
No.
places in Spain if you and we know because we did this. We were visiting I have family that lives up there and we walked around this big what should have been a very busy plaza and it was 2 p.m.
Yep.
and it was just a ghost town. I mean, it was just all the restaurants were closed, cafes were closed, the stores were closed. You'd see like one random person walking around, all the doors and the blinds were drawn. It just seemed like this ghost town. And then my family member caught up with us and we were like, yeah, we were just trying to get something to eat because we're kind of hungry for lunch. She's like, oh, no, you have to do that like before the siesta time because once it's this like early afternoon time frame, she's like, nothing's going to open again until like 4 or 5 p.m. And then everything will be open till midnight. But during
No kidding.
siesta, it's all shut down. Government
Wow.
offices, everything. And people go home and they eat a nice lunch and take a nice nap before they go on with the rest of their day.
I love it.
And I just thought that was fantastic, and it's a cultural norm there. Like it's not out of the ordinary, but a lot of people do have kind of like their energy levels dip right after the lunch hour and then they pick back up again later. And you probably work with this because a lot of your fitness clients, you probably have to kind of figure out even when the best time is for them to work out. And for many people, it'll be morning, but maybe not for everyone. I mean, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, my mornings are my busiest classes. Yeah, and most people think it's the thing with doing it in the morning is that once you get it done, it's done. And then there's nothing else in the day that can creep up and block it now. Whereas if you train, late morning or in the afternoon, things can happen like the flat tire. There can be traffic. You can get asked to stay later at work. Like there's other ways that you can get derailed. And going back to what you said earlier about how some people are just not morning people. I mean, that was me in the restaurants. I used to work nights a lot of the time. And like I had to convert myself to a morning person. And even when I first started the gym, I mean, I think I had a 6:30 a.m. class. Like that was my earliest one. And now my earliest one is at 5:15. And it was definitely an adjustment. It probably took about a good 2 to 3 weeks before my body got used to it. But now, like if I sleep till 8 or 9, I'm probably sick, but I can't do it. I feel like half the day is gone already. So even on the weekends where I don't have to be up as early, my body is just programmed to be up that early. So I get up and just start getting stuff done. And then that way, like I said, I have the rest of the day to just hang out with the kids. So sometimes I'll go up north to Vermont or New Hampshire and go hiking or just do other things that I enjoy. Although I love hiking. I can do that all day long.
Oh yeah, me too. And I'm sure because you're buddies with all the trees. So
Yep. That's my homies.
gotta go say hi to the trees. So share with us like a big mistake in your past, something that where looking back, you're like, yeah, I kind of screwed up there, but where in the long run it ended up being a great thing or, something you really learned from. Because I think a lot of solopreneurs, they have terrifying moments or challenging moments, and that's when they give up. And someone listening may actually be right in the middle of that. I mean, they may
Right.
truly today be facing something where they think, that's it, I got to throw in the towel, or there's just something not going right in their business. Speak to that a little bit, because I'm sure you've had a moment or two and you're still here, got through it, whatever it was. So maybe you can help some of us do the same.
Yes. So I would say the first thing would be not taking action fast enough. So when I first started with the gym, I was charging way too less, just thinking, if I price it low, I'll get a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people first starting out, they feel that. But I had applied for and won a scholarship to Fitness Business Summit at the time it was in Costa Mesa, California. So I just had to pay for the airfare out there and they paid for everything else. But that summit changed everything, just about self-limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome and thinking that you need XYZ before you can move forward. They were like, just embrace where you are, get started. They're like, double your prices and just do what you do best. Like, do what you do best, and then you're going to attract your ideal clients. They're like, stop trying to make everything perfect. Like, just get out there and do what you do best, and then doors will open up for you. And he was absolutely right. So I remember I get back home and I taught a class that Monday. I think I had 27 people in class. I jumped up on the plyo box. I said, all right, guys, I just want you all to know I'm going to be raising the prices. And not one person balked at it. And inside, I was terrified. And they were all like, good, because you are way underpriced and you are way too good to be charging that little bit. They're like, we weren't going to complain. They're like, but if that's what you're going to charge, that's what we're going to pay. But out of all those people at the time, I think I had 110 clients. Not one of them balked at me raising the prices. So I think,
Wow.
one of the biggest mistakes is just not properly valuing yourself.
What a lesson. Oh, I love that story. So what are you working on right now? What are some projects that are sort of your big headliners coming up in like the next 12 to 18 months?
So I just created a program called Speak About Yourself Out Loud. And as you see, I have no problem speaking about myself, but not everyone else does. And so I knew I wanted to get into business coaching, but I also didn't want to be just another business coach. And I can work with speakers, but I didn't want to be just another speaker coach because I don't want to be in just the sea of everyone else. So I wanted a different, more unique angle. And so when COVID shut the gym down back in March, that was when I started my podcast, because I believe in quickly making moves when life throws you curveballs. So I started the podcast and I started doing virtual speaking. And I started writing for some online publications. So in doing the podcast and being in other Facebook groups, people would get introduced and they have no idea to tell what they do. People be like, hey, so-and-so from Colorado, what is your business model? They're like, they just can't articulate it. And then just the more and more people I listen to, I was like, this could be a thing. Like, I can help people package their personal stories and how they talk about what they do and what impact they're having out there in the world. So I did some market research. I reached out to a couple people in the groups and was like, hey, I'd like to talk to you more about what you do and help you craft your story. And a bunch of them took me up on it. So we would have our Zoom call, and there's definitely a market for it. So I actually got my first client speaking on someone else's podcast. Like, there were, I believe, 5 of us on this episode. And I just got to talking about what I'm launching. And she's like, oh my God, she's like, that sounds amazing. I would love that. So I had the consultation with her and she bought. I was like, wow, like, this is actually a thing. So the next 12 to 18 months from now, the plan is to have, we'll start with 100, because I don't want to bury myself. And I also don't want like a $1 billion company either. I just want something manageable, me and maybe one or two other people. And that's what I'm working on for now. Like, where that goes from there, I don't know, but that's the next phase, is to get 100 coaching clients.
Well, that sounds super exciting. So how do people get in touch with you if they want to follow you, learn from you, join your email list? What's the best website for people to go to so they can connect with you and spark that conversation?
Yes, it's robertbfoster.com/speaker. And then all my social sites are on there too.
Awesome. So robertbfoster.com/speaker is where you want to go to connect with Robert. And I just want to say thank you so much. Truly feeling in gratitude here for you coming on the show, sharing your story, sharing inspiration, and having this great chat with me today about ways that all of us can improve our lives and our business. Thank you, Robert.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, and if you leave a review on iTunes, I promise I will read every single review. If you know someone who makes a full-time living from part-time work, and maybe this is you, please visit lifestylesolopreneur.com to nominate a guest or to nominate yourself. Because remember this, money doesn't buy happiness. But money in the hands of a happy person, there is no greater tool.
Today's episode was brought to you by the Get Shift Done program. It's a lifestyle-changing online class to help you define your business and lifestyle ambitions and to set goals in a way you've never experienced before. This class will 10x your daily productivity with methods that will blow your mind. And if you use a coupon code podcast, the class tuition is 99% off. Visit GetShiftDone.com to enroll today.